What's up, Grizz Nation? It is time for a game day update for Game 6. So joining me, I think, of course, all the way in San Francisco, Jared Greenberg. You've been here. It seems like you've been here in Memphis a whole lot, right? You've been spending a lot of time here.
I've enjoyed some barbecue, I've enjoyed some heat. I mean, the humidity is real. It's a real thing right now.
Yeah, you're telling me. Look at my hair. There's a reason it's up in a braid right now. But no one cares about my hair right now.
That's why I have a hat on.
All right, so we're on the same vibe right now. Look, Jaw's still out. Otto Porter Jr., I'm just doing a quick update, is day-to-day. We don't know yet. Let's first start very quickly by what you thought of what went down in Game 5 in terms of the Steph before the game saying, "Whoop that trick," Draymond dancing, the crowd going crazy, because you were here, and I want to know from the outsider perspective what that felt like for you.
I'm still trying to process what happened. Was it Wednesday? I think is today Friday?
It was,
yeah, I think so.
Wednesday.
It felt like it didn't even feel real what was happening. Like, obviously we had our production meeting on the TNT side, and we very much, considered the realistic possibility of the Grizzlies winning. Of all the different scenarios that you kind of play out of what you're planning for that could potentially happen, nobody talked about the Grizzlies being up by 55 points at some point in the game, right? Like, and it just felt weird. And I heard Kendra Andrews report those comments from Steph earlier in the day, and I was like, that's interesting. And then obviously the crowd was eating it up. The crowd had a lot to be fired up for, right? Like booing Jordan Poole, booing Draymond Green, booing the Warriors. The Warriors are playing their second game without Steve Kerr, which, is no excuse, obviously, but it felt like a surreal atmosphere. And the crowd, also a later start local time, like, doesn't ever hurt a crowd. Like, that got people going. And the dogs are excited about it too.
Yeah, see, they got hyped about it as well. So then you've been back and forth. That means you've been to San Francisco, you've been to Memphis. Yeah. What do you expect in a do or die game for the Grizzlies? The Warriors are coming off of a huge loss against the Grizzlies, and now they're back home for a Game 6 where they really want to end the series. The Grizzlies obviously fighting to not. What do you expect tonight?
Well, it's funny that you say it's a do or die game for the Grizzlies, obviously, because if they lose, the season's over. But I also kind of feel like it's a do or die game for the Warriors, right? Like, you don't want to be in a position, if you're Golden State, where you mess around and lose tonight, and then you've got to go back into that hostile environment of Memphis in a Game 7 where it's cliche, but it's true. Anything can happen. So I feel like, yeah, obviously the pressure's on Memphis to keep their season going for at least one more game, but there's a whole bunch of pressure on the Warriors. And it's interesting because people want to build this bridge, this metaphorical bridge between the dynasty that Golden State had to now. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't do that, but it's a very different team, and it's a very different roster construction, not just in that there's so many young players that they're counting on, but just that they're different. Like, their guys are doing different things. Klay Thompson is not the defensive presence that he used to be. They don't have, an Andrew Bogut or a Festus Ezeli or somebody like that, just bring up random names to come off the bench to really bang with a guy like Steven Adams. So it's very different. And I feel like, being at home should help the Warriors, but it also sometimes being at home increases the pressure because of what the expectations are.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Kind of flip it that way. You brought up Steven Adams. He was out in health and safety the first 2 games. The third game, we like to erase that from our memory a little bit, but he got, like a few minutes. Right. What have you seen in the last 2? Like, how did he change this for the Grizzlies? Obviously, the Grizzlies still lost with him in, but like, it has felt different. It's felt like the Grizzlies are back to kind of playing like their game instead of kind of wanting to match up with the Warriors.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think they've changed the mentality, and we just spoke to Mike Brown this morning, the acting head coach of the Warriors, and he felt, in addition to a lot of the turnover issues Golden State had in Game 5, one of the biggest things was the offensive rebounds. The fact that Memphis got 18 offensive rebounds, and it's not just what Steven Adams does; it's what Steven Adams does for Jaren Jackson. right? It's what he does for some of these other guys on the court that's so impressive. And he just brings this physicality to it. I thought coming into this series, not knowing what his availability was going to be, I just went back to like 2016 when he was with Oklahoma City and he had some of these classic battles with Draymond Green. And, there's obviously you can Google a lot of the stuff that happened during that series. It's still painful for a lot of guys to still watch. But, not that he's the same player since 2016, but he's still got the same mentality. And I just think Steven Adams has changed the dynamic of this series so much so that with Adams coming in and Ja going out, obviously nobody thinks the Grizzlies are a better team without Ja, but
some people do.
Well, they shouldn't, but they're a different team without Ja. And Draymond Green has said this openly that now that the Grizzlies are playing without Ja, it's like a whole new series for us. And this game plan that we had coming into the series and we used over the first few games is not necessarily what we can use to be effective against the Grizzlies now. So Golden State's kind of going through this feeling out process of okay, how do we be successful with Memphis midway through the series? Meanwhile, Memphis is a team that's played 26 games, 27 games, whatever, like this throughout the year. And that's not a huge sample size, but it's a good enough sample size where the Grizzlies know what their identity is with Steven Adams back in the lineup and without Ja, because they've done it enough. And the Warriors have prepared for something totally different.
That's crazy. It actually is crazy. I heard Draymond say that. Was it post game or was it just a media conference?
On his podcast.
Oh, on his podcast. Yeah. I knew he was sitting down with a mic somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Here is my last thing to you. You can't pick offensive rebounds because you already brought that up. Oh. Tell me a X factor stat. Whatever team wins blank, rebounding, whatever you want to say, has a chance to win this game tonight.
Obviously rebounding is crucial, but the key, the key I think for both teams is not just turnovers, but what you do with those turnovers. So whoever wins the battle of points off of turnovers, I think wins this game tonight. And I think, Golden State's really paranoid about it. Like what they're trying to figure out what's going on. And and the funny part about it is like, this is nothing new for them. They were winning, going to the NBA finals 5 straight years, winning 3 titles. And that whole time they talked about turnover issues. And now you're putting in guys like Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole, who have never been through it. And now they're adding to the issues that they're trying to solve. And Golden State feels like they've kind of solved that problem. And they did a really good job of it in the first quarter on Wednesday night during game 5. But then the plan blew up right in front of their face in quarters 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. I know last game there was 20 something turnovers, again, 20 something points off the turnovers. I do remember though, I can't remember what game it is because they're all blending together in my head now, but they had 18 in the first half and then 3 in the second half. So they do have the ability to clean it up when they figure out the recipe. Obviously I'm coming from the Grizzly side, so I hope they don't.
Well, understandably, I mean, you want the checks to continue to cash, and that makes a lot of sense.
Jared, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. I hope you have fun tonight. I hope you're back in Memphis.
Well, if Memphis wins tonight, I will be back in Memphis on Sunday morning, bright and early, ready to go for game 7, which TNT will have on Monday night.
There we go. Everyone at home, Grizzlies fans, the tip-off is at 9 p.m. tonight. So go drink a coffee. I don't know. Go drink a bunch of coffees and we'll see you. You can tune in after the game on Valley Sports Southeast.